So dear students, in the first session we have studied about the matter that is in our surrounding. In that session we have studied about what is matter, what are its two changes, that is physical change and chemical change. We have studied how does it occurs, and you have performed the activity also, which I have given with incense stick. Now you understood how the movement of matter takes place in the first session. Okay, now today in our second session we are going to study the characteristics of particles of matter. What are the characteristics of particles of matter? Matter is anything that has a mass and occupies a space. Everything that we can touch, see, hear, taste, also smell is also a matter. Matter is made up of a really very tiny particles which cannot be seen with the naked eye. We have to see the tiny molecules with microscopes. Yes, students, the particles of which the matter is comprised influence is the state and properties, that is physical and chemical properties. So dear students, already you know that what is the intermolecular space between the matters, how it is bonded. Okay, now take an example of solid. Solid examples: book, then any solid, water, table. So how the intermolecular spaces are joined here in the solid? There are no places in between the molecules. Okay, they are completely joined together. Now let's study about the liquid. Dear students, what are the examples of liquid? Oil, water, juice, etc. Here the intermolecule of the liquid is loosely packed. It means they have little bit intermolecular space in between them. Understood? This all we have studied. Now what about gas? Compare a gas. This air, LPG. Okay, this all the molecular structure is completely loosely packed, so air is invisible. Okay, now I have given the examples, book and all. It has, we can see, we can touch, we can feel. Okay, and it is heavy also. Compared to air, compared to balloon, your table is heavy, book is heavy. Okay, compared to oil and water, this is lighter. Understood? Now till here the intermolecular space between the solid, liquid, gas you have understood. Okay, now next let's study about the particles of matter have spaces between them. As we understood the intermolecular spaces between solid, liquid and gases, let's study about the first characteristic of matter. That is, first characteristic is particles of matter have spaces between them. Particles of matter space between them. Now, previous example I have shown you how the solid, it has the completely, it is packed. Matter atoms are packed completely in solid, and liquid you have seen there are little bit spaces in between the molecules, and air, it has a huge space in between the atoms. The spacing between the atoms are called as intermolecular space. Now look at this. This character is one of the concept behind the solubility of a substance in other substances. Example, on dissolving sugar in water, there is no rise in water level because the particles of sugar get into the interparticle spaces between the water particles. Is it clear? Now, the next point is particles of matter are always in motion. The next point is always in motion. Dear students, you have to see here. Always the particles of matter show continuous random movement due to the kinetic energy what they have, what they possess. Okay. Now, a rise in temperature increases the kinetic energy of particles, making them to move vigorously. The third characteristics of a matter is particles of a matter attract each other. Here, dear students, particles of matter it has the attraction between the molecules. Okay, in every substances there is a interparticles force of attraction acting between the particles. To break down a substance, we need to overcome this force. The strength of the force differs from one substance to another. Now you know these three characteristics of a matter. Now one more is there, that is nothing but the diffusion. Dear students, we have studied what is diffusion. So, when the particles of matter intermix on their own with each other, this phenomenon is called as diffusion. Diffusion is nothing but intermixing of particles. The intermixing of a particle is called as a diffusion. Take an example for spreading of a ink in water. You have seen, if you drop a little bit ink or a paint in water, how it occupies the complete water. Okay, the water, it will become whichever the paint you put in the water. Now, during the diffusion, the particles occupy the interparticle spaces, and the rate of the diffusion increases with the increase in the temperature due to increase in kinetic energy of particles. Now, we have to understand, can matter change its state? Yes. Effects of change of a temperature on a state of matter. How the heating effect or any other temperature, how does it is going to change the matter? We are going to study. Okay. Here matter change its states. Dear students, now I'll just give you an example what we will see in our daily life. Now, when you start eating the ice, it was in the solid form. When the atmospheric temperature affects on it, it starts melting. Okay, after melting, it will come in a liquid form. When you keep in the freezer again the melted ice, definitely it will become as a solid. Okay, now definitely you have understood. Yes, the matter changes its states. Now, on increasing the temperature, the kinetic energy of the particles of the matter increases and they begin to vibrate in a higher energy. Therefore, the interparticles force of an attraction between the particles reduces and particles get detached from their position and they begin to move freely. As a result, the states of matter begin to change. Solids undergo the phases change from the liquid. Similarly, the liquid also undergo in the phases of to form the gas. Now, as I said you, solid, it is a ice cubes. When you heat it, it will become a water. When you give more excess heat, water will get evaporated. Is it clear?